Okay, so the question is about indifference and detachment, etc. Well, these are ideas that, help us better understand and focus for what we want in our own life. In other words, all of us come through certain events, yet at the same time, I'll use the idea, boy meets girl, which is very common in this world. We've been through this for lifetimes. But at the same time, let's say the fellow wants to finish his degree in college, but yet the girl's a distraction. And this is not picking on women at all. So it's not that. It can be either way. And so this becomes a distraction. So, this takes a while to set this in motion for an individual. A person has to be patient with themselves. That's real, like anything, a step at a time. But the individual themselves must really decide. I look at my own life, and it's not always easy because there are distractions, but yet I'm still focused. I still do what I do. In other words, for me, it was surfing when I was young. I quit high school because it was very, very boring, because I was having real side experiences, and high school was just plain boring. It wasn't even really that so much. It was just like, this is dull and boring, so I'd rather surf. I'd rather go to the beach. I'd rather talk to the mermaids. I'd rather do that. It's like, this is not good. And, on warm days, I'd be in school, in boring LA school. Didn't like it at all. So again, it's really a focus, and, it takes a while to really, decide this focus. And again, we have many distractions on the way. And so I'll use surfing as the idea, and that is that as I started working and got into construction, I really liked it. And of course, I really love surfing. I had the urge, the surfing urge there, an urge for something, like anyone will have. And I always had the urge. It's like every day I had to surf. I wanted to surf. But as I started working, I saw this kind of gradually kind of dissipating. And within myself, yes, I love to surf, but at the same time, I didn't really like this urge, but I had this urge. I didn't really like it. And so as time went on, and as I became more focused on work, because I didn't surf if I was working. And I didn't do that. I didn't goof off and do that. Some people will do that. They'll just, like ditching school is one thing, and I did that a lot and went surfing. That was one thing. Okay, I can see where, yes, that's important, and it made sense. Okay, but when it came to working in construction, no, I didn't do that. I worked. I worked during the week when I did construction, and then I went out on Friday and Saturday nights and, just had a few beers or whatever. Sure, did all that stuff that everybody did when I was young. But those urges and that, once you have a focus, as the urges went away, when the surfing urge, as an example, went away, I saw that, I recognized that, and I was so glad. But yet I still surfed. And it actually became better because the urge was gone. And so I didn't follow the urge anymore. And so because I had a focus, my focus in my life was better. I had a focus, and that is on the work. And especially in 1970 when I met Paul, and Rebazar finally, he kept talking to me and trying to convince me in different ways subtly. You want to meet Paul on the outer, because I'd already met him on the real side and whatever. And it's a little different there, and on the outer here to get involved. And I was reluctant because I'd been through high school and all these things, and it's like, I don't want to do this. I'm not the scholastic person. I don't want to read books and stuff like that. I just want to kind of do what I do, and but once I started to read the books and whatever, I go, well, this is for me. This is great. This makes sense. And this was in the early days when there was really nothing around. So when we talk about detachment and things like this and indifference, as an example, it's not that a person has to use their will to like, oh, I don't want that, I'm over here, or I want to be celibate or whatever these ideas are that these different paths and teachings create. They actually create a lot of mind vices for people that aren't necessary. The idea really is that find something that you like and love and understand, and these other things, the detachment of these things will just become automatic. It's like boy meets girl. When these people, when the boy finally meets the girl of the love of his life, then all the other ones go away, you might say. And so it's the same thing. It's the same idea, and that is that you still have these little things that are there in these distractions, but overall, the indifference just really kind of comes in. And then as you recognize that, as you recognize how this works, what I do for myself is I expand upon it. I recognize that reality of indifference and how it works for me to better focus and to have a clearer view to where I don't carry anything with me, any more restrictions. So again, each person decides for themselves. So you really set up your own course for yourself. Realistically, this is what you do. Yes, you can go to college and take someone else's course, or you can create your own. I taught myself so many things. I taught myself how to draw. I taught myself the construction business. I taught myself how to write, created the Vessel Project, created all these things. Self-taught, create my own courses. Because this is what I want to do. And by that very fact, the indifference and the detachment and all these things, the things that I don't really need in the urges, they just kind of go away by themselves. I don't have to put my attention on them to try and get rid of them. I simply be real with something that makes sense and creates a benefit, and just follow through with that and stand in that. And just like working with all of you here, it's wonderful. And to see you succeed, to see you step up and understand what I'm presenting, you see, again, we recognize each other. There's that recognition. And it's just like two people in love. When they see each other, they don't care about the world. They don't care about the money or what they have or anything. All they care about is they love each other. Kind of just like in those movies you see. And, one person will, it's like one person will say to the other, oh, I love you so much, I'll do anything. And the other one will say, well, gee, we have no money, what'll we do? It's like, well, our love will carry us on. Well, the love idea is great. And this is where we start off with is the sensational, emotional love, which is fine. That's a start, but that's not the end result. But eventually, the lucky ones get to see real love. And that is like the sun shining to where there is no restriction. It's beyond the feelings and emotions. But that, that kind of triggers us. That's kind of the booster fuel that gets us to the next step if we're ready to take that risk and see it. And then once we're there, like the sun shining, do you see any attachments? The sun is indifferent to everything. It displays indifference and detachment, if you want to use those words. They sound cold, but they're real, and they're not. It's just like the birds that fly around. Are they interested in what you're doing? No. They see what you're doing. They're not interested. They're living their wonderful life. They can fly anywhere. They can do anything. And the sun, imagine yourself as the sun. It's just awesome. But it's not attached to anything. And it has seen everything that humans have done throughout human history and all the nonsense. But is it concerned? No, not at all. It's just wonderful as it is. Again, this is the statement we make. We are real beings of light. We are wonderful. And you really are. All you have to do is recognize that. And all these other things become, an indifference. In other words, you don't need them anymore. So you focus on what is real and what has value. So you're at that point now where you recognize what does. And the sun provides that example. The sky, the air, the natural environment. Take the time to see what is real. Not think about it, but to see it, you see? And that's where you listen to life. And the real listening to life is not the words that are spoken, but it is to see what is demonstrated. That is real listening. There you have it. when these things come up, I don't always just really go to the issue, because all of a sudden you're just talking a lot of literal stuff. Okay, and that's fine, but you're burying people in things like Dr. Phil would. Okay, and so people worship the literal minds of the world, and that's fine. These things are all there; they're all part of it. But realistically, it's kind of like when we go to school, we're taught English in a particular way. But when we go out into the real world, do we use that stuff? Do we use anything that we used in high school? No. The only thing that we really use is we're still eating hamburgers and french fries and drinking sodas, right? That's basically what we're using, because that's what we did in high school. But other than that, we don't use all that stuff. And so when you're talking to people, I just keep it very, very simple. I always put it back into their court. You can use all kinds of ideas, but see, we're a lot further along here in the Skypes. But first of all, I kind of see where people are at. And so I just focus on whatever it is important for that individual, and then to see how far they would go. But other than that, and I don't have an agenda to tell them, oh, I've got to tell them about the guides and the NUUU and all this stuff. I don't have that agenda. And it's just like when I did my business in construction. When I went out there and had appointments, I love meeting the people. I didn't even try and sell them the job. I just explained to them what I could do and showed them what I could do, and I let them decide. I was very sincere. And usually, I got the job because I just let them be. I see the heart of people, and that is that I would just simply keep it very, very simple. Remember that experience where you were in the theater with Rebazar, and he stood back and said, let him decide?
Yeah, and there was another one that I was reminded of a couple of days ago where I had a very close friend. And this was an experience that actually helped me quite a bit to do just exactly what you're saying, to just keep it simple. So anyways, it was my friend that I was very close with in the Marine Corps. And at that time, he drove a Camaro. In the physical, he had a new Camaro. And he had asked me a couple of things about what I'm doing and the awareness of becoming more aware. And I was fairly new into this. I was very excited. And I said a whole lot of things and didn't realize how much I had really said. But some of it was I don't know how to put this. It's like I would say one thing on Monday, and then by Tuesday I had learned all of these other things, and so I was talking about that. And it's not that it was negating what I said on Monday, but they were different, And so he got confused, and he actually got angry with me. And in the experience, I was in a garage, a car garage, like a mechanic's garage, and there was a old Camaro on the rack, and there were guys working on the car. And while they were under the hood working on the car, I reached in the driver's door and put my hand on the gas pedal and just revved up the engine. And the guys that were working on the car, they jump out from under the hood, and they're looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I realized that was my buddy, and they were already working on it. They were already taking care of the situation. I didn't need to do all of that, what I was doing, making it very complicated for him and whatever. So yeah, that was a very good indicator for me to just keep things very simple, and then let the whoever it is come to me, or to you, or whoever, because I usually pass on books and whatever. So I learned a lot. And then today, while I was answering this question, I actually did catch myself writing very literally, like pages. And so, yeah, I will. I'll just go back and keep it very, very simple, and just offer the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that myself, you might say. In the past, I drowned people, and I still do, But with what we're doing, we only have so much time now, and the world is what it is. But when it comes individually, when I put it out there through everything, it's one thing. But when it comes individual, I'll take it individually. And actually, I like that relationship. And so with the car, no, it's the boys working on the car. And I'll give an example of that too, which you did. In other words, I remember early on, in my upbringing of this, I had introduced someone to this, was an example, and I was starting to walk into their yard. In other words, the scene was a house set back, and then in the front was a white picket fence, like your little typical white picket fence. And I was about to walk into the front gate. Well, right then all the boys came up. There was 5 or 6 or 7 of them, and they kind of just kind of gotten in front of me, went through the gate and said, "We'll take it from here." So in other words, that's how it works. We simply present it. And as Ava and I are together every day, and she gets these chats, she'll get different things, and usually people say hello or something first, and whatever, and those that are interested. But we go a step at a time. You don't give them everything at once, but it just depends upon the person. It just depends upon who they are. But for the most part, we go a step at a time. In other words, they'll say hello, or if they ask a question, and we've went over this before, then we'll kind of give them an answer. But it's how they ask the question. You see, you let them ask the question, and you let them go a step at a time. I would just say that's the best way to do it. In other words, you're letting them decide everything every moment. You're not there deciding for them or thinking for them. And this is where, no, we are not here to say, oh, gee, yes, we are presenting the new you, but everybody's not ready for the new you. They're really not. It's a lot. It's a lot for them because, again, this creates a particular situation in their life that, people are very attached to what they've come to know. And so, but again, every situation is different. But again, that is demonstrated to you. In other words, they're handling it, and you don't have to keep revving up the engine. In other words, you don't have to keep, becoming involved. You just let it go. And that's what I do too with, when we're with Ava and I together, and Ava's learning this better too. It's like, you present it out there, you let it go, you forget it. This is where that I don't look at how many likes or dislikes are on something if I put it out there. I don't look at that at all. I don't have a counter as to how many people visited the site or whatever. It's like, what do I care? What does that mean? In other words, I'm not sitting here calculating what is to be supposedly determined in life. That's not my place, and that's really boring to me anyhow. Some people are into that. I really don't care about it, but if you are, fine. And, again, it's kind of like you wanting to go to jury duty or not. That's why I asked you the question, do you want to go? That's your choice, that's your experience. And so the same is that as we present this to the world, we present it honestly. And that is that, let the individuals make the choice every step of the way. But if they ask the question, if they ask certain questions, then I let them know. And lots of times it's a wake-up call. And I remember at first when Ava and I were first together, and she was so cute, because of her broken English, and I love it. It's always the baby talk. And, she'll say, well, this is a bomb. You're giving them a bomb. And I go, I know. And, she'd be very reluctant at times. She goes, well, I don't want to do this. And I go, well, okay, whatever. And then she'd do it, and it's like, and then we get the reaction. And, some of these people that are doing a whole lot on Facebook, these people were against us at first, you might say. Nobody's against anybody, but anyhow, that's the idea. They were putting us down, whatever, because these are higher niches, whatever. But then all of a sudden they tested the new you. They found out at work. Rebazar shows them the tap lining of the aliens and everything that's going on with the corporation. Now they're totally with us. So, each situation's different, but sometimes you let out the bombs. Sometimes it's a big wake-up call for people, but you know what? We don't have a lot of time. The world is being destroyed, and that's how it is. This is how real it's getting. It's like wake up or don't, because the aliens are going to eat you for dinner. That's real. That's just how this world is. And that's not up to me. I'm simply trying to warn people, and at the same time, they're sitting there with their little attitude saying, oh, you're criticizing us, you're attacking us. Well, okay. If you want that, then, when people say that, it's like, okay. Or we'll get certain things, like we got a few chats today and yesterday, and these people are asking Ava for things. Will you support me, or will you send me money? And then I simply say, just tell them to pray to their gods. Yeah, just say, go pray to your God. In other words, if you want something, go pray to your God. And I'll use that. Yeah, go ask Jesus. We don't do that. We provide real guidance and a real education. We're providing something wonderful, but this is where you're big now. You have to do it yourself. So, each situation is going to be a little different. And this is where those of you that are taking the risk, look at the experience you're gaining for yourself to better understand yourself, and you're earning your way. So those that step up and do something real all the time for something that's a benefit, not just work their 9-to-5 boring job. Yes, we all have to do that, but what are you working that job for? You decide. You see the benefits of the understanding that you're getting to better recognize who you really are. You decide that. Yeah, so that becomes the adventure. So, but especially individuals, like you're talking about the birthday girl, that's a very touchy subject. So I'm very compassionate, considerate with people like that. Just take it very, very easy with them.
Okay, thanks. I will.
Yeah, that's like a bird with a wounded wing. Yeah, and we all go through those things, and it's okay. Yeah, and she'll learn a lot from you just by the very fact of how you understand her, and that's what she's looking for. And that's real. You see, that's sincerity. That's being honorable.